This recipe is sweet potato dal, and we're going to use some lovely whole grains to accompany this. I've got a mix of whole grain brown rice. This is a short grain version. I like it because it's got a nutty flavour, and this is buckwheat. This is a sort of pyramid shape whole grain, again full of fibre, vitamins. So I'm going to rinse that and then pop it in some boiled water and let that simmer away while we create the rest of the dish. So we've got some boiled water, hob on, and let's boil these up. There's often concern over how to cook rice, whether it's difficult, what's the ratio of water to rice. Basically, the rule I use is flood it with water at this stage and cook it until it's nutty. Just keep tasting towards after 25 minutes and then drain and rinse again. We know that there are small particles of arsenic in most rices, and so just flooding it with water will help relieve that. So for the dal, the basis of the dal is another beautiful legume, red lentils. These ones don't need soaking, and we're going to combine that with some sweet potato, a lovely red onion, some spices, and then the fresh flavours of fresh spices and herbs, okay? And finish it off with some lemon. So let's take about a cup of red lentils. And around about 4 cups of water to your sort of 1.5 of lentils there. Giving them a rinse will reduce the gas that these produce. Well, that we produce when we eat lots of lentils, particularly as we just introduce them in our diet. Right, so once you've rinsed your lentils, you'll still notice there's a little bit of foam on the water. Don't worry. Rinsing them does improve how we digest them. So, and makes it a little bit easier, particularly as you're starting off eating legumes. So you've got your whole grain buckwheat and brown rice on the boil, you've got your red lentils on the boil, and then we'll prepare the vegetables. I'm going to grate the sweet potato. These are organic sweet potatoes. I'm not particularly fussed about the bits of soil on them. I will just chop some of the indents off, and then just grate on the side of a box grater. Make sure your board is on a tea towel so it doesn't slip, and have a firm handle grip on it. Sometimes you might find that if you stand on a step, you'll get a better positioning. Again, very simple, easy dish to put together, but full of flavour and full of phytonutrients. Phytonutrients, just a word we say, means nutrients from plants. So there's a funny shaped one, but we'll give that a go. The colourful vegetables, full of the carotenoids. So again, look at that lovely vibrant orange. Sweet potatoes come in other colours. You can get them with a purple skin and white. They're nice baked and mashed. But always keep the skin on. It's full of fibre. Whether you're making it into chips, where you just slice them into chip shapes, toss them in a little bit of paprika and bake them in the oven. It's really delicious steamed. Sweet potatoes, perfect for steaming. If you roast it with a tiny bit of oil, you'll find it'll caramelise, and that means that you can use it as a dessert. You could have that with some soy yogurt, with some cinnamon. This is quite a sweet dal. It makes an amazing accompaniment. And you can see that that's generated a lot of sweet potato for just those 2 small potatoes. So this is going to feed about 4 people at least. Perfect to take cold with a naan bread. You can use that as a lunch as well if you need a packed lunch. This is good if you were going to make a couple of curries. So if you made a dal, then you can make a big vegetable curry. But you've got all your lentils in there. You're ticking all your macronutrient boxes. So I'm keeping the lid on just to keep the heat in so it'll boil up. And then let's move on to our red onion. Just going to take the papery skin off. So when we chop an onion, first remove the outer skin. Sometimes that comes off easily. Others, it'll be quite thick, and you'll find that the layer underneath will be really tough as well. It's often worth taking that off. It does seem a little bit wasteful, but take it off and cut it separately, because otherwise it just impedes how the flow of the chop in the onion will be. There are a few ways to do this safely. Cut it in half, hold both ends, chop lengthways into the onion, and then put your hand in your bear position and just slice down. And then it'll all be in little cubes. Okay, so with your chopped onion, you're going to add that into the sweet potato and lentils that are boiling up. There's no, I haven't found a trick yet for stopping your eyes water when you chop a particularly pungent onion. Some just do it, some just don't, as far as I can see. Right, so let's lower. The rice is really boiling up. This is really boiling up. So your rice and buckwheat, that can lower. And in here we've got the red lentils, the sweet potato, and the red onion. Okay, you'll be surprised how quickly this cooks. So if you came in from work and you were wondering what to cook, you know, sometimes to start a full meal from scratch seems quite unappealing, but actually once you've done a bit of chopping, there's 10 minutes of cooking time or 20 minutes with the rice, by which time you've cleared away, you've got the prep done, and then you can sit down and enjoy a really full, delicious meal. So what's going to bring the flavour out in this dish are the spices. So spices are really good for us, full of antioxidants. We're going to pop some cumin in this. About a teaspoon. I'm going to pop some mixed spice, ground mixed spice. So this contains cloves, cinnamon, nutmeg, and gives it a nice sweet flavour. It's very strong though, so about half a teaspoon. A teaspoon of paprika powder. This is, oops, about to lose a spoon. Like a peppery, rich flavour. And I'm going to put a veggie stock cube in this. You can hear it bubbling away, so let's lower it down so it simmers. And the all-important turmeric, I'm going to put a good teaspoon in there. And just opening that jar, the smells are amazing. It's really a woody flavour. So that's going to simmer away. I'm going to pop a pinch of black pepper in. Lower the heat right down. Stir the spices in. And again, remember you've got turmeric in there. So simmer away. And in the meantime, let's prep the fresh spices that we're going to add at the end. So on the small side of your box grater, I'm going to grate some fresh ginger. We can find all these ingredients really easily now. There's lots of international supermarkets. If you don't, you can get frozen spices. You can buy cubes, long cubes of ginger, long cubes of grated garlic, already prepared, that are in the freezer that you can just pop in. So there's nothing, nothing too fancy required for this. The other spice mix I'm going to put in later on is garam masala, which is a lovely, again, sweeter blend of spices. So I think you're getting the hint that this is like a sweet recipe, which is why it works really well. I mean, it does work well on its own, but it's nice next to a vegetable curry. I often make an okra vegetable curry just to go with it. Or at this stage, at the end when it's finished, you can just toss some fresh spinach leaves through. We've prepped garlic in a few ways. I'm going to prep it differently this time by just grating it. So chop that hard end off. Peel it by gently pressing and remove the papery skin. And then grate on this side. Just be careful with your fingers on this one. Just go gently. You'll find you'll just be able to push in the last bit. And then I am going to slice the chilli. So slice the chilli. If your fingers or your skin is sensitive, then maybe wear a pair of gloves. Otherwise, this will just chop it into small pieces. So we've got some spices in there already. We're not looking for a whole heap of heat in this. It's like a mild flavour, a nice pleasant dal. And that's simmering away beautifully. So minutes, you know, you've got a lovely dish coming together. You can serve this with naan or chapati, that would be really nice as well. We might tell you that again at the end. Okay, so I'm just gonna let that simmer for 5 or so more minutes before I add these really raw, fresh aromatics, because they'll really lift it towards the end. Lovely, so this has been simmering. So just keep checking on your buckwheat and your rice. Take a spoon, let it drain, and then once it's cooled, give it a little taste. It's still quite nutty, so it probably needs a few more minutes. You can put a lid on, let it sit in its own heat. And the lentils, they've been simmering away about 10 minutes. They've all softened, they plump up and really thicken that sauce. So there's the basics of your dal. Just onion, sweet potato, lentils. You've got a stock cube in there. You've got some lovely spices of mixed spice, cumin, paprika. We're going to add about a good dessert spoon and a half of garam masala, which is a ready-made spice mix available everywhere. We've got some deliciously fresh grated ginger and garlic and the chilli. And then to put a sort of creaminess into it, we're going to add some of that nutritional yeast. It also gives us the added vitamin B12, so a good couple of big spoonfuls. And if you stir that round and bring that up to the boil again. That's probably going to need another 5 minutes or so. But it can sit for as long as you like. Nothing's going to go off or lose nutrients while you prepare what you're going to top it with, okay? So, lid back on. Rice and buckwheat, the dal simmering away. We're going to serve that with some lemon. I like a freshly squeezed lemon. It really heightens the flavour. These are quite pippy, so for presentation wise, just take your tip of your knife and try and seed spot. Take as many seeds out as you can. They're exceptionally pippy. And you're going to want some coriander. A big bunch of coriander. It's really going to bring that flavour to life. I'm only chopping the very tips off of the herb. And then with my big knife, I'm just gonna so we've got a dal that we're going to serve with the lovely whole grains of buckwheat and short grain brown rice. And if you like, you can serve it with a naan as well. So the way to prepare a naan, I've got these little mini naans, just slightly dampen either side and then pop it in the oven. So you want your oven on high, and that's going to come together in a couple of minutes. So this has been simmering away, your dal. So the lovely thing about dal is it's normally this single uniform colour, and yet the flavours just absolutely dance about because it's so packed with good stuff. The rice and the buckwheat is ready to drain, so let's get that drained. So take that off the stove, drain it, and then rinse it through with some boiled water. Your dal's ready. We can just pop some fresh coriander in there and the juice of that lemon. And we're just going to get a wooden spoon. So you can't smell it. When you're doing it yourself, you'll get this wonderful aroma of all the different sweet spices all coming together and blending beautifully, as I say, in this lovely uniform colour dal. Your naan bread will be ready. So, to serve, just have a dessert spoon of your mixed whole grains, your buckwheat and your brown rice, and then you've got these lovely legumes, your red lentils, sweet potato, dal, which can be eaten on its own. You could just add a little bit more water to that or a bit more stock and you can blend it down as a soup. When you're presenting that, it's nice to put a little bit of extra coriander and maybe the option of another slice of lemon just on the side, along with your naan bread. There we have this lovely sweet potato dal with buckwheat and brown rice, served with coriander, lemon and a naan bread. We'll just give that a little taste. So you've got all the textures of the nuttiness of the buckwheat and the whole grain brown rice. And then you've got the softness of that dal, but the real kick of those fresh spices. It's absolutely delicious.